Shut your mouth, broadcasting. First round draft pick. Believe we got stats, kid. Quarterback sacking, 100-yard dashing. So tap in for the action. What teams got traction? What teams are losing? Franchises ruined. Fans in the stand booing.
Welcome to the Sim Podcast Show. I'm your co-host Eric, and I'm always joined by my co-host Ron. What up, Ron?
What's going on?
You know what we do? We talk about the National Football League on a weekly basis, including the playoffs. And we just had the divisional rounds hit us. Ron, how are you feeling right now?
I'm excited about this matchup. For this weekend, I thought these games were okay. They weren't anything too exciting, but I'm good with the teams that are left. And I think we're gonna have a good weekend, and whatever the matchup is in the Super Bowl, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was more happier this week because we actually saw teams playing defense. Mm-hmm. We actually saw teams scheming, and Jalen Hurts came back, so we saw a lot of things. So we'll get it to the news. We'll talk about the divisional games, and then we'll go into the conference games. If you're interested in what we're talking about, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, hit the like button, because you love hearing from us. So why don't you give that love back to us? So Ron, the Niners offensive line, one of the dudes got arrested. Is this a big deal? Defensive end. Is it a big deal or not?
I don't know. We'll see if he plays. Don't know exactly all the details, but looks like he was arrested on misdemeanor domestic violence for pushing his girlfriend to the ground. That is the allegations. Police didn't find any evidence of any visible physical injuries at all. Doesn't mean that nothing's happened. And it looks like she also declined medical attention from what I'm reading. We'll see. He's a rotational player, I think. Obviously, it's you don't want this to happen at any time, right? But, to be right here in the middle of the playoffs and to have this be a little bit of a distraction is obviously, I'm sure they're disappointed. So they made a statement saying that they are in the process of gathering further information. And obviously, they haven't made any decisions about whether or not he's playing or not this week.
Yeah, we're recording this on a Tuesday night. Do you think that he's going to play, or do you think that they'll take quote-unquote disciplinary actions and not have him play? What's your feeling on this?
I don't know. It can go either way. Like I said, it's an allegation. There were no physical injuries. So it's really her word versus his. At this point, I don't know what his word is. There's no statements from him or anything like that. So if I was to guess, I would say he's playing unless something changes between now and Sunday.
I mean, I'm looking at his stats, and they have him listed as questionable. That doesn't mean a lot, because if you listed questionable, they'll play. Even if you're listed doubtful, right, they'll play. But it's not like, if I'm looking at it right now, he's had 7 solo tackles. It's not like he's a game changer, right? 4.5 sacks. It's not like he's, one of the star defensive ends. I just feel like this is just news that you don't want. 1 week before the conference championship, you don't want somebody to get out of line. I don't think that it'll affect them too much.
Yeah, you want to always have your team whole going into any game. You don't want to have to deal with any of those situations. Obviously, you're going to be prepared either way. You got to have your team prepare for anything that can come up, including injuries. But I'm sure they were planning to use him as to give the other players,
right?
Rests and stuff like that, and may need to consider not having him now. So we'll see how they adjust. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. It's more of an embarrassment, something they probably don't want to be spending a lot of time talking about. And they should be really focusing on Philly.
And I feel like, didn't that happen to the 49ers a couple of years ago and he was much more prevalent than this guy. They ended up just releasing him altogether. I don't I don't remember his name right off the bat, but I know that he was a key defensive end for the 49ers, and he was like just going buck wild. They just released him. But I don't think it was like right before the conference. So I don't think it was as important as maybe this one. The other news, we didn't get to talk about this, but your boy Matt Canada is coming back.
Officially back.
Officially back. Ron,
Yes.
you told me that that you could still critique what's gonna happen. What's your feeling about what's gonna happen? Are you still that 11-6 record that you so proudly
Predicting my early
yes,
prediction before the season hasn't started,
Yes.
before we don't even know the roster and all that.
before the draft or
Before the
trades, all that.
free agency, all
Yeah.
that stuff.
And now that you know that Matt Canada is coming back,
I'm optimistic about the season because I like the way we finished the season. The offense started to click. Obviously, a lot of young players at the start of the season. Well, they're going into their second and third year now, so you expect them to take a leap. Looking at the schedule, again, we haven't gone through drafts and free agents and all that stuff. A lot can change, but the schedule looked pretty favorable. There's a lot of teams, I think, assuming we bring our whole team back for the most part, a lot of teams I think we can beat, especially with assuming our defense is as good as it was down the stretch. So I'm confident. Am I happy Matt Canada is back? No, I wanted him gone. Probably like 95% of Steeler Nation did. At the same time, I understand a little bit to a certain extent why they did it. They didn't want to, bring any changes to Kenny, to have him learn a whole new offense and all that stuff. And I'm optimistic that we can do a little bit better. We need to do better than we did this year. Even down the stretch, we're scoring, I think, like 20 points per game. We still need to get to like 24, 25 points per game for us to have some success next year.
yeah, I mean, to me, I like Kenny. Matt Canada, I mean, that's not gonna cut it, especially in the AFC with all those quarterbacks and everyone scoring like 30 points a game. Although, if you play good defense, you can stop those 30 points a game.
Right.
But, like I say, you still need to score more than the other team. So
Yeah. And that's why I say, 25, get us to 25. I don't know what the league average was this year. We don't have to be elite, like 30 points a game, like Kansas City or Buffalo or any of those teams. Not with our defense. I don't think we have to be that impressive, but we can't be 17 like we were this year. 17 isn't going to cut it. It might get you to the playoffs somehow because your defense that good. But once you're there, you can't score, 24, 25 points. I think it's a recipe for disaster.
So we go from you guys keeping Matt Canada to us finally hiring Bill O'Brien. And what I mean by us, I mean the New England Patriots finally hired Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, you predicted it.
Listen, when the rumors came out that Matt Patricia was out the door and, the owner was unhappy.
Well, has he left, Patricia?
Technically, because his Detroit contract has expired, so that means he's no longer in their payroll.
Mm-hmm.
Probably going to take a lesser position or altogether just get rid of him. Obviously, he's in good cahoons with Bill. Bill loves him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're going to get rid of him. The year before he became offensive coordinator, he was a specialist, some weird title where he wasn't actually involved with the team, but from far away he was scouting. I don't know. It was a weird title. But we got Bill back, so Max should be ecstatic because now he has a real offensive coordinator. It's just that, like I told you earlier, we don't know who Mac is passing.
Yeah, still need weapons.
You still need weapons. And I know Devontae Parker is coming back, but that's the only person that I know.
Mm-hmm.
And other than the tight ends, I don't know who they're going to pass the ball to. So I want to see what the team does in free agents and trades and the draft before I get really excited.
Yeah.
But because the defense was so good last year, this team has to be better.
Yeah.
It just has to be better.
I think so. That's why when I looked at the schedule and you and I and our buddy were talking about early predictions and where the Patriots can be, I saw 10 wins. I do. I think the schedule is pretty favorable. There's some winnable games at home and, even some on the road. Obviously, we don't know the dates that they play yet, and we don't know the rosters yet. But if you can bring back that defense, and then you got your coordinator now, you can bring some weapons, add some weapons to that unit. There's no reason they can't get to 10 wins.
Yeah, I mean, again, until I see what they do, I don't want to get too excited.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just glad that I don't know if it was. I know it was Robert Kraft that said, "Hey, Bill, gotta do something."
Yeah,
gotta do something.
Well, I'm glad Kraft is saying something, because I can tell you, Steelers ownership doesn't appear to be. The new owner isn't really doing much of anything. He's kind of staying out of it, leaving it for Tomlin. Back in the days, the original Rooney would have said, "You need to get him out of here." But we'll see where this goes. This is last year for Canada as far as his contract. I think he knows he needs to step up. The team needs to step up, or he's out the door next year.
Yeah. So let's see what the progress that the Patriots. So let's go into the divisional games, because I actually watch all these games. Even though I worked Saturday night, I watched it on repeat. And sometimes, I know this is off topic, but I wasn't feeling well. And my favorite commercial right now, I don't know if you've seen it, it's that Nyquil commercial where the person is really, really sick, and he goes into the room and he's like, "Hey boss, I need to take 4 days off." But then they flash to the boss and it's like a toddler looking at him like,
"Oh yeah, that's right."
What does that have to do with me?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's exactly how I felt this past weekend, because I was just like under the weather. I was like, I'm not gonna, not this weekend, but the wild card weekend, I was under the weather. And I felt like, having 2 small kids, not so much the 5-year-old. I think she understands, but I'm talking about the 2-year-old hasn't grasped the concept of empathy.
Yeah.
So when she saw me sick, and I just thought about that Nyquil commercial, I was like, yeah, man, I can't play right now. I don't feel.
She don't want to hear that.
She looked at me like,